From a massive avalanche in Nepal that raced down the Himalayan mountainside, and a monster rockslide in India that blocked a holy road, to a double tornado in Nebraska that got a little too close for comfort, and a volcano in Indonesia that sent ash over 16,000 feet into the air. Here are 10 incredible natural disasters caught on camera. The journey to the Badrinath temple in Uttarakhand, India is a famous Hindu pilgrimage. It sits in the Himalayan town of Badrinath and is only open between April and November due to extreme weather conditions. Rain and snowfall can make the pilgrimage unsafe. Even the gods understand that much. But the gods were angry on May 4th of 2023 when intense rain and snow eroded part of a mountain. Unfortunately, this mountain was right next to Badrinath National Highway, the only road between the temple and the nearby town. Pilgrims and workers watched in horror as the road was blocked by a massive rock slide. Luckily, they recognized the signs hours before and closed the road. Then, they moved some heavy equipment into position, knowing they had to clear the debris ASAP. But landslides like this are highly unpredictable. There's no telling how much debris will ultimately fall. Rain and snow continued to pelt the area. The temple stopped registering people for new pilgrimages, but there was nothing they could do about those already en route. They advised everyone to make necessary arrangements and avoid dangerous conditions. Luckily, they cleared the debris and reopened the highway 24 hours after the landslide. Perito Moreno is a famous glacier in the Los Glaciares National Park in Santa Cruz, Argentina. Every year, enthusiasts flock to the Patagonia region to watch pieces of Perito Moreno collapse into the frigid water. On February 25th of 2022, a tour group ventured into the lakes near Perito Moreno. They got their money's worth when a glacial calving triggered an impressive chain reaction. These tourists got a triple whammy. They saw a calving, a tsunami, and a glacial shooter all in one trip. But what is a glacial shooter and what causes them? As we know, glaciers extend well below the water's surface. When they calve, those invisible parts underwater can break free and rise to the surface. It is extremely rare, as you can never predict when it will happen. But when it does, it looks something like this. The ice crystals you see have been imprisoned underwater for thousands of years. They are crushed and compacted under millions of tons of ice above. So, when they break off, they refract light in such a way that it gives off that stunning sapphire blue color. A shooter like this is probably the coolest thing that can happen on any glacier adventure. That's assuming it doesn't rise right under your boat, of course. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, also known as KPK, is the fourth largest province in Pakistan, if we're just talking about land. It is a mountainous region full of lush forests and long rivers. It's pretty much the opposite of what most people picture when they think of the greater Middle East. In January of 2023, monsoon rains swept across the region, triggering landslides and flash floods. In the Chitral district, located in northern KPK, locals watched as raging rapids tore through the backcountry. It began with landslides, and things got progressively worse from there. Look at all the dust and debris that gets kicked up as the mountain slides into the river. Elsewhere, locals recorded a different part of the flood as it raced through a valley. You can see where the riverbed had dried up before the monsoon. It's amazing to think that events like this likely carved all those snaking waterways. Soon, the flood turns into a slower-moving mudslide. Watch how it comes in waves. The first passes, then settles. Then another mud wave comes barreling down the valley. Downstream, you can see where erosion is eating away at part of the cliff. The more debris that falls into the river, the worse the flood gets. Then, just as our cameraman thought it was over, another flash flood occurred right beneath them. Now, we're not sure how long it took for everything to settle down. You can clearly see how the landscape has changed between the start of the video and later that night. The river seems to be following its normal path under the mountain. The massive mud deposit is a clear sign that something extraordinary happened here. Every year, about 1,200 tornadoes touch down across the United States. Most of them occur in Tornado Alley, which spans the Great Plains region. That includes the Dakotas, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska, where tornadoes are often the worst. Between June 16th and 18th of 2014, a wild tornado outbreak saw 76 storms touch down across the Great Plains. Around 4 p.m. on June 16th, twin EF4 tornadoes tore a path of destruction between the towns of Wisner and Pilger, Nebraska. One local was lucky enough to capture both of them on camera. According to the National Weather Service, one storm touched down about 15 minutes after the other. They tracked together for another 15 minutes and traveled a combined 30 miles. One of them moved closer to our cameraman, who stood their ground and kept recording. Officials said that 3/4 of Pilger had been destroyed or partially damaged. Now, double tornadoes aren't all that rare. What made this a phenomenon is that both tornadoes were equally strong. According to experts, if two storms happen simultaneously, one is usually much stronger than the other. In this case, both tornadoes maintained EF4 intensity. By the time our camera person picked them up, both storms had already done their damage. They tracked into more open areas and eventually dissipated around 4:39 p.m. Nepal attracts tourists from all over the world. Most of them come to explore the Himalayan mountains. They span the entire length of Nepal. That means no matter where you are in the country, you can always see the Himalayan mountains. That also means avalanches can strike at any time. One group of hikers got to experience a Himalayan avalanche firsthand while hiking near the town of Manang. Luckily, they were far enough away to appreciate the sight without being in any danger. It might look like a giant cloud, but that's actually a massive wall of snow rolling over the mountain. From a distance, it looks like it's moving at a snail's pace, but think of how far it's traveled in just 60 seconds. The avalanche eventually crests over a hill, leading to this fantastic display. Luckily, nobody got hurt during the avalanche, and it didn't damage anything important. Snow avalanches begin when unstable slabs of snow break free of the slope. They pick up speed as they move downhill, producing ice clouds and fluffy snow as you see here. According to National Geographic, a fully formed avalanche can weigh as much as 1,000,000 tons. They can also travel over 200 miles per hour. Home to about 137,000 people, Cedar Rapids, Iowa is the second largest city in the state. It sits on 75 square miles of land, about 2 hours west of Des Moines. Locals call it the City of Five Seasons. The nickname is a play on a Bible verse suggesting that the fifth season is the time spent enjoying the other four. Well, nobody was enjoying the summer on August 10th of 2020. Every single person in Cedar Rapids was caught off guard when a wild derecho storm tore through the city. Hurricane-force winds kept one local woman in place while she recorded the storm from her car.
Okay? I know we need to go home, but this is the safest place we can be right now. We don't want to be in the interstate. It's not safe.
According to reports, wind speeds topped 140 miles per hour, about as strong as a Category 4 hurricane. The storm touched all 75 square miles of the city in some way. In the end, it caused about $7.5 billion in damages between South Dakota and Ohio, making it one of the costliest thunderstorms in U.S. history. More than 100,000 trees were destroyed in the storm, including some that had stood for decades. Every traffic signal in the city was damaged, and homes and businesses went without power for a week. Derechos are fast-moving, straight-line thunderstorms. They're like hurricanes, but instead of the wind rotating, it blows in a straight path, hence the term straight-line wind damage. The Campar River flows about 257 miles across the Indonesian island of Sumatra. It rises in the Barisan Mountains of West Sumatra and flows east toward the Malacca Strait. Over the years, it's become a popular destination for river surfers. That's because the Campar River is famous for its tidal bores, known locally as bono or true. Naturally, the river widens as it approaches the Malacca Strait. Tidal bores occur during high tide, when seawater rushes toward the narrow part of the river. Some locals fear the waves, and others like to play in them, like children. Now, all that seawater needs somewhere to go as the river narrows. The children enjoy splashing through the massive puddles while their parents try not to get their feet wet. As you can tell, the spectacle attracts a large crowd every rainy season. It also attracts river surfers who experience a once-per-year opportunity. They say waves can grow as tall as 10 feet on the Campar and travel over 30 miles. Theoretically, you could ride one for about an hour if you kept your balance. Just be careful. People aren't the only things living along the Campar Basin. It's also home to saltwater crocodiles. Big Spring, Texas is a small city in west central Texas. From Dallas, it's a quick 4.5-hour drive across Interstate 20. But if you were driving into Big Springs on June 6th of 2019, you may have missed it. That's because a massive dust storm known as a haboob had overtaken the city. One local man was waiting outside when he saw the storm approaching. He captured the moment it passed over the city, effectively turning day into night.
Holy crap. That's crazy. Damn, just like the night out here. Pitch black out. That's incredible.
Imagine how thick that dust cloud must be to block out the sun. We're not sure how long our driver sat in darkness as the video ends before the storm passes. Haboobs are intense dust storms that occur from dissipating thunderstorms. Dense, cool air leaves the thunderstorm and moves over a dry landscape. The sudden rush stirs up a wall of dust that can grow over a mile tall. As the name suggests, they're prevalent in the Middle East, but can occur in drier parts of the U.S., like west central Texas. Mount Sinabung is a stratovolcano on the Karo Plateau in North Sumatra, Indonesia. Mount Sinabung had been relatively dormant for about 1,200 years, so people began building villages nearby. What could possibly go wrong? Since 2010, Sinabung has erupted multiple times, forcing the Indonesian government to evacuate thousands of people from the region. On March 2nd of 2021, the volcano erupted dramatically, sending ash over 16,000 feet into the air. Footage from closer to the eruption site puts the whole thing in perspective. Imagine walking outside and seeing this in your backyard. Now, there's been some debate over how long Sinabung has been dormant. Several articles say it had been asleep for about 400 years. Now, they may be referring to a possible eruption in the 1800s, but according to the Smithsonian, there isn't enough evidence to confirm it. They say the youngest signs of lava flow date back to 810 CE, give or take 70 years. That would make it roughly 1,200 years since Sinabung's last active phase. Lindsay, California is a small city between Fresno and Bakersfield. It's home to about 12,000 people and a lucky pair that caught something extremely rare on dashcam. It was a stormy night in Lindsay on December 11th of 2022. Miguel and his friend had their dashcam rolling as they drove through town. What happened next nearly scared them out of their seats.
Oh my God!
Holy shit! It hit that tree. It struck that tree.
If you blinked, you missed it. Thankfully, we have the power of slow motion. Watch how the lightning hits the tree and snaps it in half. According to reports, it was a 50-year-old redwood standing in one homeowner's backyard. They recalled feeling an explosion followed by pelting on the roof. When they got up the next morning, their yard was covered in massive redwood splinters. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.